Is Kevin taking attendance for this meeting as well in minutes?
Yeah, I got the participants recorded.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay, I thought Janet said she was coming.
Is Stephanie coming?
She was invited, so. I don't know.
Well, thank you to all of you who put out the word and sent the flyer around, and thank you
I
to
thought
Mike
it did-
Campbell for putting the notice on the town website, on the village Facebook page, and on channel 23. So we certainly try to get as much of the media attention that we could. So
I sent it to Margarita Zion and
okay.
so
Yeah, I talked to Janet, or I emailed her directly, and she said she would be here, so
good.
I don't know.
Can't get video, but I'm fine with it. Still photo.
So are you with us, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Do you hear me? I just
Yes.
can't, the video is not working for some reason.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, and Kathy is with us. Kathy who? Oh, Kathy Gordon. I see. Hi, Kathy. Guess she's muted.
I don't know why my camera's not working, but you know what I look like anyway.
Okay. As long as you can see what we're gonna do, that's what's important.
Because I see all of you.
Okay, good. Great. Okay, well, let's get started.
Hold on, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Good. All right. Shall we get started, Skip?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Kevin, if you want to pull up the first slide. Okay, so this evening's presentation is an overview of a draft of the Community Climate Action Plan that the CAC Task Force has been working on. The plan is for 2005. Okay, let's go to the first slide. Okay, I thought it was important that people understand the background for a community climate action plan. The plan is an action of the Climate Smart Communities program. That's a New York State DEC program that the town is participating in. The town has been in that program, I think, for 7 or 8 years. And what the program does is suggest and recommend actions for municipalities to take to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And the actions that municipalities take and what the program offers is it offers savings through greater efficiency, greater energy independence, and improvement of air quality when we switch to clean energy. And also the town of Saugerties, as a participant in the program, was certified at the bronze level in 2020. The town was recertified in 2024. And I might add that the town of Saugerties is the first town in Ulster County to be certified bronze.
Wow.
The county was certified before us, but they're a county. Kingston was certified before Saugerties, but they're a city. So I think we can take rightful claim for the town of Saugerties to be the first town recognized at the bronze level. And in order to get at the bronze level, the town had to implement many different climate smart actions in order to get that certification, and then to keep that up and do more to get recertified. So I think it certainly speaks very well of the town of Saugerties for the actions that they are taking. So I just wanted to put that in by way of background so everybody understood that this is just not a plan that's out there. It's part of a whole state program. Okay, next slide. Okay, I mentioned that the town had to complete a number of actions in order to get bronze level. I'm just going to name a few here. The town installed a 2-megawatt solar array at the closed landfill. The town converted street lights, off-street lighting, and town hall lighting to LED. We conducted a rooftop solar campaign. The town installed solar panels on part of the Greco Senior Center roof. The town installed at least 5 charging stations. I believe there may be more have been added since I looked at that. They also installed Energy Star appliances at the Greco Senior Center, and that was due to a grant that the town received. Next slide. Okay, the town installed a state-of-the-art air-cooled chiller at Kiwanis Ice Arena. We know the ice arena was a main emitter of greenhouse gases, and this chiller, it will certainly bring down our greenhouse gas emissions. The town also acquired an electric vehicle, a hybrid vehicle, 2 battery-operated light-duty trucks, and also electric landscaping. And I may add that the trucks were acquired by the town through a grant that the town got for $100,000 to purchase those vehicles. Okay, in addition, the town partnered with Ulster County to offer community solar. The town offered that 100% renewable energy supply program for qualified residents and small business owners. And there's many more actions. I think there's about 20 in the plan, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what the town has already accomplished. And hopefully by adopting a plan for the community, we can, excuse me, my phone. Sorry about that. So hopefully by adopting a plan, the town can even implement more actions to reduce emissions. Okay, next slide. Okay, so what is the Community Climate Action Plan? Basically, it's a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It sets reduction goals for the community. It presents strategies to achieve those goals. It targets sectors of the community emitting the most greenhouse gases, and it establishes a baseline year by which to measure reductions. And the plan, this is very important, is based on an inventory. Okay, next slide. Okay, it's based on an inventory. The town got an inventory from Ulster County for 2022. What were the greenhouse gas emissions from our community in 2022? And the inventory shows that in that year, the community emitted 445 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. It also identifies emissions by sector, and there are 9 sectors in the community and on the inventory, and we'll take a look at those in a couple of minutes. It provides data from which to develop the plan, and as I said, it was provided by the county to the town at no cost, because I think it would be a substantial cost for the town to hire a consultant to prepare the inventory. So that was at no cost to the town. Next slide. Okay, here are the different sectors that the inventory looks at. We've got residential, commercial, industrial, transportation, solid waste, water and wastewater, agriculture, process and fugitive, and upstream. Those are the 9 sectors. If you look at the pie, the large green area in the pie, transportation. Transportation emits the most greenhouse gas emissions. 55% of our emissions come from transportation. The second largest sector is industrial energy, and that's that kind of deep orange slice of the pie. That represents 1 facility in Saugerties, and that facility is Northeast Solite. Northeast Solite is emitting over 17% of the emissions. And the third sector, the third largest sector, is residential at 12.3%. So what the plan is going to do, or the plan does, is to take those 3 largest emitting sectors and figure out ways to reduce the emissions from those sectors. So next slide. Okay, here we can see what was admitted in 2022 versus 2010. Why 2010? That's our baseline year. Why is it our baseline year? Because the state DEC gave the town an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions from the community in 2010. So that's our baseline year. That's what we can measure our reductions going forward. So you can see 2010, 267,287, and 2022, 250,445. So already the town has reduced the emissions. I have to point out something here. If you look at the 2010 and the different sectors, in 2010, in that inventory, there was no sector called upstream impacts, and there was no sector called process and fugitive. The two sectors that were different in 2010 are energy supply and industrial processes. So I have an email into the director of the Hudson Valley Regional Council to get an answer as to what that energy supply, what are those emissions? I suspect that the industrial process is probably the same as process and fugitive, but I want to get those confirmed. And to Bill's point just a few minutes ago, in terms of suggestions, Bill, I tried to put the percentages on this chart and line it up. And what happened is visually, it was just numbers all over the place. It just didn't work in terms of visual. So I think it was a great idea if we could have put the percentage of emissions, next to each of each of the sectors. But I just felt it. I just saw numbers going all over the place. Okay, so the next slide. Here you can see the three sectors that we're going to focus on and what the percentages were. Transportation, again, 55%. It went up from 45% in 2010 to 55% 12 years later. You can look at industrial, Northeast Solite, it's about the same, not that much. And you can see the reduction in residential emissions from 2010 to 2022. Okay, so next slide. Okay, here are the suggested reduction goals. And the goals were, the goals that are presented here came from a recommendation from the group that worked on the inventory and from some of the Ulster County folks. The recommendation was that the town align their goals for reduction with the state. So although these reduction goals do not exactly align with the state, we try to align them as close as possible. So it would be 30% by 2030. That would be a town goal. The state goal was 40% by 2030. And then the town goal would be 40% by 2040, 85% by 2050, and 100% zero emissions from electricity by 2050. I think that in terms of comments, I think it would be prudent to revisit what the goals for the town might be in terms of reducing the emissions. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, strategies to reduce emissions. How can we reduce the emissions? Obviously, if folks transition to electric vehicles, there's no emissions from EVs. Partner with local car dealerships to promote EVs. Install additional charging stations. We know that that is one of the impediments that to getting an EV. You figure out, where can I charge it? Add bike routes, pedestrian walkways where appropriate, and support programs to adopt zero-emission vehicle technologies for buses and trucks. I mentioned last week that there is a New York State truck voucher program. So companies that buy new trucks and new trucks, there is a program from the state, where if they trade in their non-electric trucks for electrics, they can get vouchers, they can get discounts. So I think supporting those kinds of programs and other programs at the state level would be helpful in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions overall. Okay, so next slide. Okay, conduct a home energy audit, insulate and weatherize homes, upgrade cooling and heating with heat pumps, encourage carpooling, walking, cycling, reduce driving time, shop locally, that's both our local businesses, and consider installing solar panels. Okay, next slide. Okay, these are some more ways that we can reduce the emissions in the community. For the town to adopt the most stringent building code. Require new residential and commercial buildings to be all electric. That we're going to have to remove because there is in place a state law that's going to require all new construction of low-rise buildings, fewer than 7 stories. They're going to require all electric, no fossil fuel systems in those buildings. So that particular statement has to be reworded or removed. Okay, next, ensure new buildings are weatherized and well insulated. Participate in renewable energy supply programs, 100% renewable energy, no greenhouse gas emissions. Subscribe to a community solar farm. Some in the community did that when the task force sponsored one. And conserve forested areas. We know our forests, they sequester the CO2, they take it out of the atmosphere. So that's another way to help reduce the emissions. Okay, and the next slide, please. Okay, the industrial sector. As I said, Northeast Solite, 42,749 metric tons of emissions. So what the recommendation there is for the town to establish a task force to recommend greenhouse gas reduction methods. Right now, East Light Solite burns coal and also some natural gas. So a task force could look at perhaps new technologies and other methods that East Solite could use to reduce those emissions. And the next slide, please. Excuse me. Okay, the next steps are to finalize the draft plan, recommend the final plan to the town board for approval, designate a person to oversee implementation of the plan, and then monitor progress towards reduction goals. And the next slide. Okay, this is a quote from the plan, and the plan says, urgent action is needed. The extent to which we achieve reductions in greenhouse gas emissions depends on our choices made now. So the next slide, please. Why the urgency to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? Well, according to the International Panel on Climate Change, they're quoted as saying, climate change is a threat to human well-being and planetary health. The panel also states there is a rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all. And the overwhelming evidence shows that human activities are increasing the concentration of greenhouse gases and changing the global climate. So there are health issues here, there's quality of life issues here. We know that the climate change is affecting the increased flooding, the wildfires, the heavy rains, etc. So it's why the urgency is a quality of life issue to a certain extent. And then also in 2023, local governments spent at least, get this, 1.3 billion on climate change and adaptation. That's according to the New York State Controller. Also in 2023, an analysis estimated that New York State taxpayers were burdened with 2.2 billion in climate-related costs, which translate to about $300 per household. Next slide. In 2024, New York was affected by $8 billion weather and climate disasters. That was in 2024. And then finally, the total future cost of climate change for New York is projected to be immense, with some estimates reaching well over 100 billion for protecting just New York Harbor and Long Island. And then I've had the source on the slide there. So if anybody wants to get more information from the panel, the international panel, or the controller's report, there's also the New York Interest Research Group and the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. So in terms of the urgency, I think given the cost of climate change and given the, as I said, the quality of life that climate change is affecting, speaks to the urgency of going ahead and doing the best that the town can to reduce its emissions. Okay, and the next slide, I believe, is the final slide. Yeah, so we're asking, the CAC is asking for comments on the draft plan. The comments can be emailed to saugertiesclimateplan@gmail.com, and you can comment up until November 11, 2025. So, and then the last slide. Yeah. So the Community Climate Action Plan was prepared by the CAC Climate Task Force, and everyone's name is listed there. So, okay, that's the presentation. So Skip, if you want to take over in terms of comments, suggestions, etc.
Fine, that was really great. I can't believe you did that. That's really great.
Better and better.
Yeah, every time we do it. So this is open to comment now. And if you have a comment, raise your hand and we'll call on you. So Janet is first up in the corner there. What would you like to say, Janet? You're muted, Janet.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so I just have two questions, and I will have comments about the plan, but I think I'll send them probably to the Saugerties Climate Plan at Gmail, because other people will want to comment. But my questions are, one, how is this plan going to be presented to the board? What is the mechanism for doing that?
I suspect that when the plan is final, the CAC will recommend to the town board that it adopts the plan. Procedurally, I would hope that then that would become an agenda item at a town board meeting, and the board would then approve it, adopt it, not adopt it, modify it. That would be the procedure. That's the way I see it proceeding. That's been past practice.
Okay, but it's not presented publicly. It's presented to the town board, and then they have the option of how they choose to deal with it. And it can be made an agenda item, but not necessarily, I guess. Am I understanding?
No. I'm sorry if I didn't make myself clear. It would have to be an agenda item. It would have to be adopted by resolution of the town board.
Okay.
That is a requirement of the Climate Smart Communities program.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to bring the background part. And yes, at that point, anybody from the public, as you know, can stand up and make a comment or ask a question at the public comment period.
Okay, great. And my other question is this your PowerPoint, is that available in print form somewhere, like at the library, so that because we're supposed to refer to page numbers, etc., if we make comments? So,
Okay, so yeah, so you're talking about the actual plan, correct?
oh, the actual plan,
Yeah,
right?
the actual plan. It's available on the town website.
Okay.
And Carol was to make 2 copies for the library. I don't know if that has happened, Carol.
But it's definitely on the website, and the poster that I sent you, there's a
Yeah.
place where you can click on that and it
Yeah.
brings you to the website, and there's a place you can click on and get the whole document.
Right.
The
Okay.
PowerPoint isn't so, that's great for
Yeah, no,
doing a summary, but what you really want to comment on is the plan itself. So
of
plan
course.
is on the website.
I would rather go to the library and read it though
You
than
can
look
do
at it on
that.
the website. So, okay.
Allowed. I think
Great.
we'll check with Carol, and I'm surprised she's not here. You'll check with
Okay.
Carol and make sure she's
Carol's
Here, but
there.
Carol's here.
She is?
Carol's here.
you're
Okay,
muted.
it's right there. Is it at the website? Is it at the library, Carol?
Yeah, I was muted. I kept on saying, it's at the library, guys.
Oh,
okay.
but you
There's
were
two
muted.
versions, and there's one at the town hall.
At the town clerk's office?
Yeah, the town clerk's
At the
office.
town clerk's office, so.
All right, Stephen?
Oh, wonderful job, Mary, but everything you've done on this. One question that I didn't raise last week, just for information, how do the emissions from residences go down so much? What explains that? I mean, there couldn't have been a massive movement off to heat pumps that would account for a 40% drop.
Did they go up or down? I thought they went up. Or was that transportation? Maybe it was transportation.
I think the residents went from something
Went
like
down.
1,000 to 30,000.
Yeah, it did go down. I believe that some of it has to do a lot with the insulation. People are insulating their homes, doing air sealing. I think lots of people are paying far more attention to their homes and how well insulated they are, and therefore how much less they have to spend on fuel. Therefore, the fuel is what gets counted, and that's what we count as greenhouse gas emissions from the usage of the fuel. Also, there's a lot of us who went solar in our 2016 solar community plan. So that's a piece of it too.
Okay, Bill? Bill, you're
Yes,
muted.
yes, I'm here. I'm just
Okay.
trying to get all the buttons pushed.
Okay.
Is it too late to comment on the slides? Are
No,
you-
go ahead. It's open.
I just have just a one. Okay, I see what you did about the percent change. Just put on a subsequent slide. If you could just maybe put blue for a reduction and the percent, and put the percent increase in red. Just a suggestion.
Okay. Make
So
it more-
transportation would be 45% in red,
Yeah,
and the other two would be percent in blue. So, or whatever color you want, green.
Yeah. yeah, no, that's a good suggestion. And I really liked your suggestion about putting the percentages. But do you see my point about all the numbers that would?
Yeah, I would have done it percent change. So I would have looked at percent, anyway. That's all right. I see
Okay.
your point. Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't talking about percent beside each number. I was talking
Oh.
another column of percent change.
Oh,
So
all
I
right.
just have a couple of questions on the slides. For the 1.3 billion spent by local governments, you said that was done by the New York State Comptroller. So
Mhm.
that was that 1.3 billion for just New York State?
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
couldn't tell if that was for the whole country or just New
No,
York.
no,
State.
no. All of those statistics were just for New York because I thought that would be more pertinent.
Yeah,
There are
yeah.
statistics out for the whole country, and I think it's like 182 billion or something. I don't remember exactly. It was staggering, nationwide. But I thought for our purposes, looking at the state data would be more useful.
Couple of more comments. One is for the emission reduction goals.
Mhm.
You had percent emission reductions by year. And on the last one, you said for 2050, 100% for electricity.
Yeah,
Were all of those for electricity or just that last one?
just the last one. Just the last one.
Okay,
The others would be overall.
okay. Okay, and final comment. And I remember from your previous presentation, you said you weren't given any explanation of why there were changes in percentages. And what I was thinking is you could certainly make hypotheses even though you don't have any data. And certainly for instance, Skip was, or Carol was saying why the reduction for electricity. Good convincing, I mean, reasonable hypotheses. I would submit for transportation that the one hypothesis you could make, and I did some cursory research here just in periodicals, is the transition in the POV, privately owned vehicle, going from cars to trucks. And I remember Sarah Hanna Shrestha saying over the years, we're going to have to spend more money on highway repairs because all the vehicles are heavier now. And that alludes to it being trucks again. They're much heavier. And I just saw an advertisement for an F-150, Ford F-150 truck, stripped down to maximize improved gas mileage, getting 19 miles to the gallon.
Gee.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's a pretty good hypothesis there for what's going on with transportation. And it's just a hypothesis.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be interesting to check with the county or the folks who looked at the inventory, prepared the inventory, if they have any hypothesis or some
Or any data on that.
data to show. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll just say one more thing about emissions that just drives me crazy. And I know we have no idling laws in New York State.
Yes.
People just leave their trucks idling. I see it over and over and over. And, if I were ever to be elected, I might suggest putting up signs, reminding people that we have no idling laws.
Mm.
You know what? I've got the slogan for your sign.
Yes.
What?
Idly gets you nowhere.
Oh, very good.
That's good.
Excellent.
Like,
Well, I don't know about you, but I sit there on Main Street, sitting there with my motor on, waiting for that light to change, idling, right?
Hmm.
On Main Street in Saugerties, waiting
Yeah,
for the
but-
light to change.
what I'm talking about is people going in to talk to somebody and just leaving their truck idling, just sitting on the street running. Well, they're in there for half an hour.
Yeah.
Me-
Okay.
Well, to speak to that, actually, the newer cars have this thing, when you come to a stoplight, they turn off.
Yeah, and I guess these guys disable them. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Anyway,
It's a cultural thing.
Thank you, Bill.
like that. All right, Elizabeth has her hands up. Would you like to
Yes.
say something?
Oh, thank you. Well, every time I read this and Mary reads it, I'm just struck by how excellent it is. And I wonder if there's any way of, perhaps this has been done before, but any way of, say, having a presentation of the Orpheum well, the library too, but especially the Orpheum might be a good venue to have this presentation made. And because it really should be widely disseminated so that people can react in time to make comments and have a greater chance for the town board to vote on it. So I really, but I just commend all your hard work and your inspiration. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Mike, you have your hand up?
Yep. Great job, Mary.
Mhm.
On transportation and getting almost to what Bill is saying about trucks. We have 18-wheelers going right up Partition Street. And when we deal with hits, we effectively move those big trucks and trailers on the turnpikes, not on our town roads. And this is a big jump, but it involves New York State. There's no reason why these 18-wheelers are coming down Main Street onto Partition to get to 9W. Unless they have a business in the village, they should be routed so that if you're coming, for instance, if you're coming down 9W from Catskill, which are a lot of the cement trucks, you have to route them onto Malden Turnpike and then onto 32 South and Kings Highway. They shouldn't be coming into the village. Similarly, if they're coming up 9W, they shouldn't be going over the bridge onto Partition Street. They should be routed to Glasgow Turnpike. Turnpikes are made for trucks, and that would hook into Kings Highway and shoot them up 32 and that way. So if you started to remove those 18-wheeler trucks from our immediate township, I imagine that would be quite a reduction. And transportation seems to be the biggest one, the biggest vector.
You know, I actually had that conversation with Greg Helsmer when he was supervisor about the trucks going through Maine and I'm trying to remember, but it had something to do with being a state road, and I don't recall there precisely, but I think it may have something to do with they are state roads, maybe that's it, and therefore they're allowed. He could not say to me, yes, we can solve that problem. I said to him, you know, just get a police officer out there, because you can't go over a double line, and get every one of those trucks who goes over that double line on petition and ticket them, and do that a couple of times, and then they might decide not to come this way. But that's not a very practical suggestion either. But there's a reason, Mike, that.
Well, I think we should delve into the reason a little bit more.
Yeah.
At one point, and this is probably 10, 15 years ago, there was a SAMA study. I forget, so area mobility, it's what I forget what SAMA exactly stood for, but it was something that our town was quite involved with. And that's one of the things that they were talking about specifically, was how to get these heavy trucks off of Partition in particular. I'm, talking about making it a one-way, there were all sorts of different suggestions, but I think you're right, Mary, that it had to do with it being a state road.
Yeah, but there still may be, creative ways or ways to handle it. And I think to Mike's point, that maybe that should be something in the plan to investigate.
It is my understanding that there are signs on the thruway saying that truck with an R permit are restricted at the present time. It has been going on for about 6 months, and I hear them on Route 32, and I'm not directly on Route 32. They come down there, but it may be only temporary. If they are repairing a bridge, could take a couple of years. So.
What does that mean, the R restriction?
The big trucks are not allowed to be on the thruway at the present time. Between Saugerties and probably Catskill.
They're not allowed to be on the thruway, or they're not allowed to be in Saugerties?
They are not allowed on the thruway between Saugerties and Catskill.
So it's a mandate that they go through our town?
Yeah. I'm not pleased with it. I'm not defending anybody here.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm not pleased with it either.
Yeah, there's a sign when you come up the through that says that trucks are rated R or numbered R or whatever the term is, must exit here.
Yeah, I always wondered
at exit 20, must exit here. That's the way it's phrased.
Yeah, but that's
yeah, but the problems have been going on long before those signs went
exactly.
up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, you have your hand up.
Yeah, that wouldn't explain the trucks going north. If they have to exit on Route 20 and they're going north, that's where the sign is, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to go up 32.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be going through downtown.
But it's still in Saugerties. They're still going through our town.
Yeah. So why not just talk to DEC? they're a state outfit. I mean, wouldn't that be the route to go? I'm
The
just wondering.
DOT.
Well,
Well, DEC could talk to DOT. I mean, just elevate it up to a state level.
I guess the complaint could come from the towns. One thing we have to consider in all this, in the larger picture on the CCAP, is that we're going to present this to the town, and the town is going to have to take action. So it's going to have to be things that are under the town's control
Gotcha.
that we recommend that they do. Because there's been a lot of things brought to the town board, you know, like the Gaza resolution, everything like, and their excuse for not doing it is, this is a local issue, we're a town, we can only control what the town does. So I think that's important to keep in mind when we make suggestions for changes to this. We should center on initiatives or questions or suggestions that the town has control over. For example, the All Electric Buildings Act, you know, that's a state mandate. The town has nothing to do with that. We've got it in there, and it's a great thing, and it's going to have a very positive impact. But the town does not have a yes or no on that. That's the rule.
Well,
So
the-
anyway, in our discussions, we should just keep in mind that, like this issue here, this sounds like a DEC issue. Now, maybe the town can put in a letter of comment about it, but they really can't put signs, no trucks.
No, I got it. But the
So-
recommendation is coming from the DEC, right?
Right. But I just
And-
want to, you know, this is this is starting to dominate the conversation. We need to remember that the CCAP, what we're speaking about, are suggestions, and it has to be under the town's control. Like all those things that Mary listed that we did before, you know,
Yeah.
changing the chiller, you know, doing LED lights, all that stuff. That's all stuff the town could do. There's other things that the town can't do. So in this document is a request to them to take action on certain issues. And we should remember that we should ask them to do things that they have control over. That's just, you know, in everything we consider here.
Except that because this is a community, this is
Want me
a
to raise
whole
my-
community, that the community can certainly support, as I said earlier, programs and initiatives that the state is considering and advocate for them. So in that sense, the citizens can advocate for programs that they think the state should bring forward that would help reduce emissions. I think that's something, you know, even outside of the town board.
Yes, right.
That's kind of what I'm trying to say. But just tell me if I'm wrong here. The DEC is recommending to the town of Socrates that these things, we should have these goals. And it seems like, I don't know, Socrates, the supervisor, could write a letter back to DEC saying, we really want to do it. Transportation is hard for us to accomplish because of the state road coming through here. Is there anything we could do at the state level to help us achieve this goal?
Yeah, so that's a good suggestion, and that's something that town can, that's the kind of comment we need to, you know, this is something the town can do. That's
Exactly, yeah.
It's
Well, that's a
both a-
very,
it's
very
both
good point.
It's both a safety issue and a health issue in terms of
Mhm.
major trucks going through a middle of the
Well,
village.
let's think about that as one of our initiatives. What do you think?
Yeah.
To add that to.
Yeah, that,
To add that to one of the strategies or one of the
yeah, right,
recommendations.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, because that's major.
Yeah,
And that's something that town could, maybe it's only
Right.
a letter, but actually there's, as Bill and Mike point out, there are major consequences of that, and it impinges on our, you know, our climate here in the town, so we should have some say.
right.
I-
And it'd be interesting if any other communities have similar problems and how they've handled it.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, Carol or Lanny have their hand up together.
Many years ago, when Judith, our neighbor, was on that committee Carol mentioned, I think one of the dynamics that took place was the movement of vehicles through the community village were a benefit to the merchants. and to redirect them out of the village would be bad for business.
Talking about trucks now, they're not stopping and getting.
Well, I'm just saying, I think that that was a dynamic that was part of the discussion. And I don't know how it all worked itself out, but obviously not only big trucks, but a whole variety of trucks come through the village.
I think we're talking about the tractor trailers, and that's got to be a
I think
class
so too.
that we can divide that out as a class rather than the delivery, the 4-wheel delivery trucks rather than the 18-wheelers.
Yeah.
So that could be, dealt with.
So the SAMA study, in case anybody wants to see it, is a Saugerties area mobility analysis or something to that effect. So that was done, and it may not hurt to resurrect it.
Where is
Yeah.
it located, Carol?
That's a good question. I would hope that's in the archives of the town of Saugerties, but I don't really know. I can find out from Judith, who was very involved with it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Carol.
Well, perhaps we can get that to the CAC
Great, that would be good.
to read.
Okay, Elizabeth has her hand up.
Yes, well, I recall talking to Sharon at Smith Hardware about the trucks. It was considered a kind of tactless suggestion because she said that a large amount of their produce comes by truck. Now, I've never seen that, and I don't know how large the trucks are, but she thought that it would be a very bad idea to reroute trucks from the village. So I don't know. I just dropped the suggestion, because, but I don't know how.
Well, you could, I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
No.
Go ahead,
um,
Mike.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry, were you finished? Were you finished,
I-
Elizabeth?
I was just at Smith's the other day, and there was an 18-wheeler for Ace Hardware. We're not talking about trucks coming in to merchants to deliver material. We're talking about trucks using the roadways to get from one place to another. We're a pass-through. We're not talking about that. If a truck has business in the town, they have to be able to get to the business, and that's fine. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cement trucks, other vehicles that are just passing through.
Okay.
Okay, well, those are details that maybe there's categories that would be allowed and categories that wouldn't.
Right.
That would be in the discussion once the town contacted DEC or DOT. I don't know who, DOT would probably be it. And reported the problem and made suggestions, and there would be certainly some sort of permitting on that, so. Okay. Other comments? Okay, Mary and I had a discussion about the percentage goals. And what's being suggested right now is a 30% reduction by 2030. That's pretty big. So we got to think about acceptance of this plan. And is that going to be too big a bite relative to the suggestions that we make? We did some rough numbers on it, and the difference between the 2010 and the 2022 was 17%. Isn't that right, Mary?
The community reduced its emissions 17,000 metric tons from 2010 to 2022.
And what percentage jump was that?
Just by way background, I did mention it earlier. The reason these goals got into the draft is because it was recommended that the town align its goals with the state. And so that's what we tried to do. We didn't go as hard as the state, as high as the state, because the state had 40% reduction by 2030. So, and also the state, their baseline year is 1990. We don't have data for 1990. We have data for 2010. So I felt it was appropriate that the town could ration out, not aligning exactly with the state. Okay. So that's why these goals came about. They were recommended that we align with the state as much as possible. The county aligned their reduction goals with the state. So that's what drove this. But when I started thinking about this, we would, if we were to reduce 30% by 2030, somebody else can do the math, but I think I came up with 80,100 metric tons in 5 years.
4 years, right?
4 years.
By the time we get this.
By the time we get it, well, it'll be 4 or 5 years. Totally unrealistic. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself now. If I were to say to approve this, I would say no way. It's totally unrealistic, and I don't see it happening. So, what Skip and I talked about was, should we stay with this because they said go with line as best you can with the state, or do we do something, recommend something that is realistic or at least possibly doable?
And we should we should look at that in light of the things that we're suggesting. So we're suggesting a way forward.
Right.
And what we're suggesting, we should really try to calculate what that reduction is. Because we can't just say, hey, you guys, you got to reduce it by 30% and then offer stuff that only, possibly would do a 5% reduction, and leave it up to them we really have to take responsibility for the things that we ask the reduction for. So it doesn't have to be exact, but it can't be right now if you look at not so much Mary's PowerPoint, because that's kind of like a synopsis, but if you look at the document itself and look at the initiatives that we're suggesting, is there actually going to be within that enough reduction to drop at 80,000 metric tons? I don't think so, because a lot of the goals one of the goals is all electric buildings, but that goes forward. That's buildings built from now on. That's not going to do anything with the buildings that exist now and that are producing the greenhouse gases now. So we have to look at our initiatives in terms of how they address how we can reduce what we have now. So that's something we should really be mindful of and look at this that way, because we really can't, again, if I put myself on the town board and somebody comes to me and says, we have to reduce 80,000 metric tons in the next 5 years, and then doesn't give me any idea how to do it, that's, puts me in even though I'm an environmentalist, that puts me in a funny position being on town board, because I'm committing to something that not even the people who are suggesting it know how to do. So we have to really look at what we're suggesting and the percentages that we're asking for.
Right.
Yeah, and just to follow up with that, if I may, Skip, 2 points. But first of all, we started with this back in over a year ago. Okay, over a year ago, we had rebates, we had tax credits, we had the IRA and all the different programs to support renewable energy.
Yeah.
We don't have that now.
That's it.
So these goals were also suggested in a different environment. So that's something also that we have to take into consideration. And I have to correct myself. The 80,000, when I said 80,000, 30%, I didn't, we've already reduced it by 17,000. So you have to subtract 17,000 from the 81,000, but you're still at over 63,000 metric tons, which is still a lot.
Right.
So I just wanted to correct myself there. So the question is then, what would you think would be goals that, and we don't have to decide this tonight, but to think about it.
It's a rhetorical question for us to think about.
Well,
Okay.
it is, I agree with.
Are you done, Mary?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I
Okay,
get this, Carol.
Carol?
So two things. One is that, we reduced 17 over 12 years, right?
Mhm.
And we're certainly not doing another 63 in 5 years. And the hardest part we did all the low hanging fruit in
Yes.
an atmosphere of where there was lots of money and grants to help us do this. It's going to get tighter and tighter and harder to do that. I think the percentage pieces, I'd be delighted to work with anybody on this to think about it. But I think we do have to rethink what we're putting out there in our plan. Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. I concur.
Stephen?
I think it's brilliant that you have challenged going with the state. Well, the problem, and I think we should do that, but let's remember that the goals that New York State set are those that are considered by the greenhouse gas mavens to be absolutely necessary if we're to avoid catastrophe. So if we say, well, we'll go for a 10% reduction, that if the whole world said that, and in other words, not aligning with the bigger picture is realistic, sensible, but it fails to realize that we're selling short any chance. I don't think we have a chance at making any of the goals that are set by states and nations. New York State has done nothing towards its goal. Bill McKibben is the only person who keeps telling us that maybe we could do it if we really put the will into solar and electrified everything. So I'd be inclined to compromise on this and say, well, we let's ask for, I don't know, make this up, 25%. I think you could probably get there if you close Northeast Solite and
Right, close.
Well,
Okay.
have a fleet of trucks
That ain't happening.
for the
Hmm.
and all transportation, including heavy trucks, went electric. But we're not going to do that.
So Stephen, you're involved in other environmental organizations and you know about the statistics on everything. Could I ask you to look at the initiatives we proposed or other initiatives we might propose and figure a rough estimate of what kind of reductions we could ask for using those initiatives?
Oh, I'd have to know, for example, exactly how well, Mary, you probably have this in the methodology for the transportation greenhouse gas figures. I have to look at that. In some ways, it's grossly unfair that Saugerties should be tagged with the emissions of trucks that are driving through the town.
It's true, but maybe we could bring that up as a point. What I'm asking is that our purpose here is to get this to the town board and pass it.
Yeah.
And although aspirationally and environmentally, I know that we're really in a bad shape and we got to go for the most, but we got to get it past the town board and they've got to see, if I was on the town board, even being an environmentalist, and I saw something that sounded totally impractical to do, and there was no suggestions of how to do it. If there's other initiatives, this document is very strong on reasons to do it. But frankly, with all her research, very light on what we can do to reach those goals. So we need more initiatives or things that we can do to meet that goal. So I'm asking you, because you've been involved in other things, we obviously haven't come up with anything else. Maybe you can come up with some stuff that could get us to 20% or 25%. It might be hard things to do, but at least they're on the table there. So, I mean, if you can't do it, you can't do it, but
We could do it.
would say that we need more suggestions in initiatives to back up whatever percentage we ask for.
Right.
And I also think that the state is rethinking it as well, because they can recognize pretty quickly that they're not going to meet these goals either. So Janet just put in a chat, what is the state planning to do? And that's a good thing to look into, to see what it is that their thoughts are about the latest percentages reduction that they're looking for. And I was thinking that it'd be interesting to put down on one side the state's goals from 12 years ago and put down maybe present state goals if they've changed. I don't know if they have in writing, and then put down what we think is reasonable to do. As you said, Skip, take all of our initiatives and figure out, well, what's realistic with these initiatives, and maybe there's another one or two out there that we could use to reduce it. So it's a little more involved, but happy to work with somebody who likes data too.
Well, certainly, we can take a try at this. I really like the practicality of presenting a list of things to do and saying what impact they could potentially have.
So, and I would like to comment on that, what Carol said about the comparison to the state. The town of Saugerties is way different from the state. We have a lot less money. We have a lot less alternatives that we can do. So comparing to what they do, I don't think it'd be as relevant as finding initiatives that we can do as a town and now making an analysis of what kind of effect, what kind of percentage reduction they would, enable, and then align our request relative to those kinds of initiatives that we can offer to the town.
Right.
I think it's
I think
just, go.
Stephen?
Yes.
Are you, Carol, you have your hand up, Elizabeth?
Oh, just, I wanted to say that I really heard what Mary was alluding to about the IRS and the I forget the name of the other federal subsidy program that is now not available really to most people.
Bipartisan infrastructure law.
Yeah, the infrastructure law. So that does change the picture, but I think that it's important not to lose our vision. And as Skip said, think of initiatives that the town can get behind, and to make it more palatable to the town board members to support this. So I think that we have to face the current reality, but not lose the vision.
Michael?
Well, my question is, has the state ever met their goals?
No.
And they're not embarrassed,
It's
so.
not 2030 yet. They've got 5 years.
Well,
They made no progress.
Are they gonna meet their goals? Probably not. So I don't know that we have to be embarrassed about dropping it down 30%. I would say just leave it. Because it's an aspiration, just like the state has an aspiration, but they haven't met their goals. And that's one thing. The other thing is, Mary, I don't have the charts in front of you, but in terms of the industrial sector, which is basically Stolite, what was have they seen a drop?
About the same. What 17.1% versus 17%. It's
Oh, so it was pretty even.
It's not, yes. There was a slight drop between 10 and 22.
Right. Because to me, the two main sectors that are going to show anything is transportation and Solite. The other stuff is dancing around, getting an extra electric truck is not going to make any major differences. So from what you're saying, that's where the main emphasis should be going. And we have talked about hopefully getting some kind of discussions with Solite. I think they may have changed one of their kilns from coal to natural gas, which is a little cleaner. But that's a major area to look into. That's the industrial sector. There's nothing else. So between transportation and Solite, we might have a chance to show some significant changes.
But even if you eliminated Solite totally,
No, I'm not saying eliminate Solite.
I'm not saying that either, but even if we did, it wouldn't be 30% drop.
No, but
So, I
I'm
mean,
Would be
just
what I
saying
mean
that,
about being realistic about what can we accomplish? You look, there's a lot of very, positive things, but again, doing CAC, even if we got a CAC for everybody in town, what a percentage drop would it be? 2%? So evaluating our initiatives and what we're suggesting versus the overall drop, I think has to be more in line with itself. And if Steve or other people can come up with
yeah,
initiatives to
absolutely.
show some kind of, way, maybe we can stop the trucks coming through. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
But
we can't.
Well, Willie Sutton said, they asked him why he's the bank robber, and he said, that's where the money is. So it's the same thing. The transportation and Solite is where the money is.
Gonna close.
Okay.
Carol, you have your hand
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, I think the algorithm for the transportation was not just trucks, obviously. I
No,
think there was an increase in cars. And they were somehow counting all the cars that came off the throughway. I don't know exactly how they did it, but this is the inventory that that we were given
Yeah,
by the Ulster County, correct, Mary?
I don't have it, Carol. I was not given it. And I sent a request to Evelyn at the county if there was a recording of that meeting.
Hmm.
I
Because
seem to
I
have
really,
it. I,
You
I-
have
I'll
it?
look for it. I'll look for it because I thought we had it in our packet from last year when we were looking at it initially. We were trying to figure out how they figured out these numbers. And I saw one page that described, okay, we're going to count how many cattle, and that was the agricultural or something to that effect. And counting how many cars came off the throughway was another way to count it. So it would be, I'll see if I can find it. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't realize
please do,
that.
Carol. We could have to start with that because transportation is the best place to work. We're not going to reduce Solite a lot. They don't have $500 million to invest in a hydrogen fuel furnace or something.
Right, and it might be that they need to do some, I forget now, there was some way to remove some of the pollutants as it comes out of the chimney. So there's
Even
other
that-
things that could be done as well besides
It's
changing
immensely
over to natural
expensive, and
gas.
without any further government incentives to help them.
True, this is not the year.
No,
Bill, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just thinking from what Carol said, if it has to do with cars coming off the throughway, like it could be reflective of an increase in tourism. I mean,
Mhm.
if the cars didn't come off the throughway, they just keep going on the throughway anyway. Same with the trucks, by the way.
Right,
So we're not reducing the emissions. They're just
True.
not coming to town.
Yes. Sort of
emissions from the
self-centered.
way counted as emissions of Socrates? They probably are. Now, that's an interesting thing to look at.
Say that again, Stephen. I didn't hear you.
Emissions from vehicles traveling through that portion of the throughway that traverses Socrates, are those counted against Socrates? We should find that out, because if they are, there's nothing we could possibly
No.
that except reroute the throughway.
No.
How's that
And-
for an idea?
Yeah, and
don't-
I'm
I
not
think
sure
it
if that's what we need to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, but we need to know,
Mhm.
I mean, if they're counting emissions from a truck driving down Main Street, maybe they're counting ones from a truck driving on the thruway past exit 20.
Right.
We
Carol,
do
can
need
you,
to know
can
that.
you? have
I'm
Sandy?
looking into it. I'm gonna see if
Yes,
I have
thank
it
you,
right
Carol.
here.
Let's get
Yeah.
together on
That
that
would be
one.
really interesting. Again,
Yeah.
we've got to ask, our ask is to reduce our emissions, but we've got to realize where the town has power and where it doesn't.
Right.
And if
Right.
that's the case, we can't do anything about nobody can do anything about, I mean, nobody in the town of Saugerties can do anything about that other than which runs through maybe even through the town. So,
Yeah, but
okay, Mary, have your hand up?
Yeah, just to say that if we could transition more folks to electric vehicles coming up and down the
Absolutely.
thruway, it would reduce our emissions. So if we can get the incentives back and the rebates back and
Mm.
tax credits back,
yeah.
and promote that would certainly help, so that cars are not spewing CO2.
How would the town be involved in that? How would the CCAP for Saugerties, how would you involve the town in that? And how would you
Mhm.
factor that into any reductions that we might take credit for?
Well, just as we talked about earlier, the town to work with our state legislators, our representatives, to encourage them to pass legislation that would help folks to acquire EVs and any other, any other actions that are out of the hands of the town to help. We need to partner with the state. I mean, we need to partner with the state. So that would be one way to do it.
Right. And we've been standing on the bridges for the last few weeks to protest, current policies. And a lot of trucks have been honking their horns, which implies that they're in support of all the, against all the federal policies that are in place now. So that might be a kind of intersection, a way to do what Mary was saying and have the town contact state legislators about these policies.
I figured those trucks were Canadian. No,
Some of them are.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, right now I can't locate that document, but I will look for it later.
Yeah,
Right,
I don't
right.
have it, and I don't remember seeing it. So I think just to kind of summarize, just to consider what we've discussed this evening, I think the main question for the CAC is what reduction goals you want to recommend to the town, and whether whether we stay with the ones that are there, whether there would be other goals, lower goals that might be more palatable. So,
Okay.
and at the next meeting, if everybody can come with some, to kind of bring this to a conclusion so we can move this project along.
So Carol's going to research sources for
Right.
what we had so we can understand better what the causes of this are. And
Right.
Stephen's going to reach out and try to find out other initiatives that we might apply to Saugerties to inform our request for percentage of reduction.
Correct.
Is that, and
Thank
does
you, Carol.
anybody other have a suggestion to go forward with for the next meeting?
Mary, do we know if any other towns are working on a CCAP? And if so, whether they have adopted lower goals?
I don't know any others.
That's interesting.
I don't know the answer to that. Carol, do you remember any?
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
that's
I know. I'm
been
sorry
my-
you're off, but I don't even recall any other communities that we had that virtual meeting with. That's the only meeting I remember, whether there were other communities who were.
I don't recall.
Would the regional council know about that? Hudson Valley Regional Council? Do they have any kind of,
I think I could reach out to Evelyn at the county level, who gave us the inventory and who
Yeah.
oh, that might
ran
be,
the virtual meeting that we had with the folks who prepared the inventory.
Right.
so that would be good, because then we could contact or, find out about what those other towns are doing. That would be informative if they're ahead of us and have passed something, to see, what passes and what passes muster.
Chances are we're ahead of them. That's the trouble with.
Well, that
being
could be,
leaders.
that could very well be, so.
I do have a community inventory from the village in Westchester. Bronxville did one 2 years ago. Yeah, maybe, 2023 maybe, and I have their inventory. And I could look at that to see what they put in terms of goals. But yeah, let's see who's doing it now, what communities might be doing it now, what their goals are. Okay.
So is there any other comment? I think this has been productive.
Mhm.
I really thank Mary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mary.
It's
Wow,
amazing.
amazing.
I
We're
think we
not
should,
done yet.
I know, but what you've done so far.
It's monumental.
it's-
Thank you.
it's
Yes.
inspiring. And let's hope we can get it through. I think we need to work on those goals a little bit to make it more realistic. I understand Stephen's statement
Mhm,
about the aspirations and the necessity
mhm.
of those percentages. But on the other hand, we got to get something through. So, and we have to be practical ourselves to realize what we can.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Stephen,
I guess,
yeah.
My head with the last comment.
Yeah.
The word goal in planning speak is not necessarily a place that you expect you will actually get to. Goals are almost always aspirational. Objectives are the way stations by which you measure progress. And but everybody uses the word goal. So I guess we're stuck with it. But
Right.
remember, goal really is an aspirational measure.
Right.
And that's enough said. And
All right.
we'll work on some objectives too.
Right.
I think that's it. Maybe we're gonna want to take that into consideration, the word goal. This is we're going after. There's no
Mhm.
penalty. Nobody's gonna be send extra homework for not reaching this.
Right.
But but we also it somehow has to align with the reasonable possibility,
Mhm.
so that the
Time
people
frame.
presenting to don't think, well, you just made a ridiculous thing. You said a ridiculous thing, so why should we be involved in it?
Very astute, Skip.
Yes.
Okay, are we, Mary, anything else?
nope,
Okay.
not for me.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
And
very
we'll
much.
see you at
Thank you
the-
very
Thank you so
much.
much, Mary
Okay.
and
thank you.
Carol.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Okay.